It's the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show, brought to you by Stock Car Steel and Aluminum and SRI Supplies. Here's tonight's Speed 77 Radio Race Chaser Online Crew Chief, Tom Baker.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to another edition of Thursday Night Thunder here on the Performance Motorsports Network, otherwise known as the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. My name is Tom Baker. I'm the senior editor of RaceChaserOnline.com, and I'm joined at the round table here tonight by a couple of my fellow race chasers. Our managing editor, Jacob Seelman, is here with us, and one of our Northeast correspondents and our assistant editor, Kyle Magda, with us as well. And Jacob, we are booked solid tonight. We have got more guests dropping in and out of the round table. This is going to be a fun show. Modifieds and K&N East and West and ARCA and all kinds of good stuff represented here tonight on the show.
Yeah, it's like, pull a name out of a hat, and we probably have them. But considering that I'm talking, and right now it just changed over to 7 o'clock p.m., Tom, I'm calling a penalty on you, sir, and sending you to the tail end of the longest line for jumping the start. But it's okay, because that means we get to talk a lot of different things. I'm excited about this show, honestly, and not only do we have 5 drivers that are all very good at what they do, we have 5 drivers who either have won championships prior, Tom, or are in the running for a championship this season, and I think that's what's so remarkable. From Noah Gragson in the K&N Pro Series West to Kyle Weatherman in the ARCA Racing Series, already won the short track championship, looking to lock up the Rookie of the Year title, and even all the way north to Andy Jankowiak, who may be the only driver not necessarily in the running for a points championship, but has shown he can drive like a champion because he's won about every big race in the past 2 weeks that there is to win, Tom. So I'm excited about this. We get to really traverse the spectrum like we haven't gotten to do maybe the last couple of weeks. So I'm super pumped. And, all of these guys, again, are good at what they do. So it's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. Definitely looking forward to this show. And you're right. Everybody that's on the show with us tonight is either already a champion or they're in the running for a championship in their respective series. And, we talked about this last week on our shows that, this is such an amazing time of year. Once Labor Day hits, it kind of changes from the summer season where you're racing as hard as you can to accumulate points and wins to get in contention for the championship at your track or in your series. Labor Day seems to be that point where everything starts to change to the run to the championship, so to speak, the last few races of the year for whatever track or series you're involved in. And of course, some are longer than others. I'm up here in New York as we speak in Oswego, getting ready for Oswego Speedway's Fall Championship night on Saturday night. And then their season will be over for the year. But it's just an amazing time of year, Kyle Magda, and one that we are looking forward to covering very heavily on Race Chaser Online and here on PMN as well. Going to be doing some NASCAR stuff. You're going to be at Kentucky, and Jacob and I are going to be at Charlotte doing our thing for the October Cup weekend. Kyle Souza going to be at New Hampshire. So, Kyle Magda, this is going to be a fun time for us to bring the action and the championship runs a little bit closer to our fans as well.
We're going to have the Kyle and Kyle show covering next week, and it seems like.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, and so it's gonna. Yeah, and you're gonna be quite a distance apart. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Quite a distance apart. It's just it's gonna be a bunch of fun here. And Jacob, we've got a lot of stuff going on right now from the NASCAR side of things with Chicagoland kicking off, and of course with all 3 series in action. and all three championships really, heating up here. Of course, the chase for the Sprint Cup Series starting. What are you looking at as far as what's the one thing that you're kind of looking at Chicagoland this weekend that's really got your interest going into it?
Well, right now it's got to be how is Michael Waltrip Racing going to perform, and I understand that Clint Boyer snuck his way into the chase, but after the bombshell that got delivered today, in that not only is Aaron's leaving Michael Waltrip Racing in 2016 because they're obviously closing the doors, but Aaron's actually not going to be sponsoring any car in 2016. There were a lot of rumors going around they might cover the rest of the races that Napa wasn't covering on Chase Elliott's car because of a prior relationship. But you lose a sponsor completely out of the sport. You're still trying to go out by winning a championship. Clint Boyer is awfully good on mile-and-a-half tracks, and David Reagan just is fighting for his job at this point. So to be honest, that's the storyline. If we're talking about just overarching things that have been in the news this week that I'm kind of focused on. But if you want a specific chase storyline, it's got to be simple. Does the dominance of Joe Gibbs Racing continue? And my gut tells me absolutely. Matt Kenseth has been extremely good at Chicagoland over the years, as has Kyle Busch. I'm looking at those two cars this weekend and basically looking at the rest of the field and saying, catch them if you can, because the run they've been on, 7 wins in the past 9 races, Kenseth 3 of the last 6, it's a tall order right now for anybody to stop that camp. I know we're on the package that's been tried and true this year, and that means they're not the only cars that are going to be good, but right now they're my favorites because, as we say, momentum in this business means everything.
Kyle Magda, I'll throw the same question to you. What's the one thing that you're looking most closely at going into a very big weekend at Chicagoland?
Tom, there's 3 series this weekend. I think the last time all 3 series ran at the same racetrack was Bristol. So, for me, sure, the chase is going to be a big story, but something that has my eye is the truck race, because I was looking at the entry list the last few days, and yes, there's the one Cup driver and Kyle Larson running it, but there is just so much diversity throughout the field. I mean, you have Eric Jones, you have Matt Kraft, and you have the regular suspects, if you want to call them, who are always up there and be battling for the win. But we have 36 entries for the truck race. We have Jesse Little running this weekend. He actually wound up bypassing the race at Richmond, the K&N race, which is on TV right now. And also he's going to be running the truck race there tomorrow night. So there are just so many storylines. I mean, I'm looking at this entry list. You have Chad Finley coming back for Rhett Jones Racing, Ross Chastain for the Hattories. It just seems like, guys, this is the most I've seen all year out, like in a mile-and-a-half track for the truck series. There's just so much experience and stuff around this field, and just there's so many new entries and stuff. And looking into so many things, Jacob. We have Xfinity as well this weekend. We have the Cup Series. It's such a busy weekend for the Chase Opener this weekend, and also having all 3 series at Chicagoland.
Well, it's built that way. It's built to draw the excitement. But just to clarify, Kyle, save for Daytona, this is the most entries of any truck race all year long. Short track, mile-and-a-half track, or otherwise. The Speed Weeks race was the only race that had more entries for a truck race than this one this weekend. And
Daytona.
To be quite honest, I'm a little puzzled by it. Not in a bad way. I'm just kind of surprised all of a sudden that you've got all these one-off entries coming back to play, because Chicagoland's a little bit of a weird place for it, Tom. It's a very quirky racetrack, if you ask me, especially because the curve in the backstretch, it kind of makes it a little bit closer to a circle than it does a true oval, D-shaped oval with a straight backstretch. So it's one of those places that's tough to get a handle on, and I find it really interesting that you've got all these different guys. Finley definitely surprised me, and the Hattori truck coming back was another one that I wasn't expecting. Those two, Finley and Chastain, were kind of puzzling to me. Not that I don't welcome the diversity and welcome having trucks again back in the series, but it's one of those tracks where you wouldn't necessarily expect this to be the race where you have kind of an overflowing cup, so to speak, of different drivers and teams.
Well, I think that part of what may be the cause of that for the truck series is the fact it's almost a reverse psychology thing. I think we've kind of gotten to the point in the year where maybe there are some teams who've decided, okay, if we can, we can get back on the track and get a race or two in over the last, handful or so, whatever they've got left, they're kind of auditioning for next year and looking at some things, and you kind of look at some of this, Chad Finley obviously I think would like to build a longer term relationship with Rhett Jones Racing. So, this is an opportunity for him to come out, and we've had trouble honestly at certain times in the year filling the field for the trucks.
Exactly.
So, it's almost kind of one of those reverse psychology things. I think you get sometimes some of these teams that go to a race like this thinking that maybe there's not going to be enough to fill the field and they'll be guaranteed to start. So,
true.
The combination of things there, but I'm happy for Ross getting a chance in the truck series, and I'm really keeping my eye on Kyle Larson. That's a fascinating situation in a series that doesn't need it because you've got a championship battle that's certainly
you've got the best championship battle of any of the three series right now.
Exactly right.
Save for the Cup Series, which is going to be fun at Homestead, Tom. But Kyle Larson in a truck is fun because number one, we don't see it very often, and number two, Kyle Larson with Junior Motorsports, that's just a winning combination on most any given weekend. But when you've got guys that have performed to the level that Crafton, Jones, Tyler Reddick all have this season, I mean, they've got 9 wins between them, and 5 or 6 of them have come with a good helping of Cup drivers in the field. So finally, the Truck Series has its own identity again. I'm excited, and quite frankly, nothing against Kyle Larson, but I hope somebody beats him on Friday night, because then it's more proof that these truck guys, not only have they learned from the other Cup drivers dropping down, but it gives them that identity back, and I feel like we've really gained that this season. I mean, Matt Crafton's got 5 wins this year. Who would have thought that?
Well, I agree. I mean, I think that you have a group of drivers in the Truck Series that are unto the Truck Series, and they don't really do much else other than the trucks. And like you said, it does kind of have an identity, and it has a lot of drama with the points battle going on. And Crafton has owned the 1.5-mile tracks, but that doesn't really mean that that he's guaranteed to win. Although I did pick him on Monday because it's hard to pick against him on a 1.5 miles. I mean, it's if Vegas was making a line of the favorites, I'm sure he would be right up there
Matt
first
Crafton
or second.
At about 5-4 right now.
Sure. I mean, you'd have to make him the odds-on favorite to win. So it's really an interesting series, and of course, Xfinity also has its own drama going on, especially now that we've got Chase Elliott back to victory lane.
Woo.
And guys, that Kyle, I'm going to come to you first on this one. That was a really, really interesting race last week, and I'm not sure that I really felt like Chase was going to win it until he actually won it. It's only the I think what are we, 18 out of 25 now of those races have been won by Cup Moonlighters.
17 of 25.
I think is it 17 or 18?
Yeah, it was the 8th. That was the 8th time this season that a regular won.
8th time. Okay, so it doesn't happen very often, Kyle, and I really feel like now that kind of changes things a little bit, because if you assume that the reason that Elliott won and Regan Smith had such a good run is because they actually have found some things finally with their cars and made some gains on some of these other teams, this could be a really intriguing home stretch here for that series for the championship. And, again, Regan Smith, although we believe he's going to be re-signed, I don't think it's been officially announced yet. So,
Nope.
He wants to run up front as much as he can.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions still. The rumor with Elliott Sadler going over there. And but yeah, I mean, Chris Buescher is still in this as well. Keep that in mind. But I think it's going to probably be between those 4. I said that on Monday Night Show, and I'll say it again. So I think those 4 guys. I think it's going to be going down to Homestead here depending just how Chris Buescher performs now that Chase Elliott has stepped up his game and won at Richmond.
Going to be very, very interesting. We'll maybe talk some more about that series and the Cup Series race at Chicagoland a little later on in the program. However, around the turn here, we're going to be switching. We're going to talk some modified racing, one of my favorite divisions. Andy Jankowiak has won a couple of really big races over the last couple of weeks, including one right here at the Fast 5/8 of a mile at the Oswego Speedway on Labor Day weekend. We're going to talk to him about it and more. Right after this, you are listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Do you love the sound of high revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
This is Paul Stanley from KISS for RAD, recording artists, actors, and athletes against drunk driving. Some of us work months producing a CD, but in less time than it takes to play it, someone will be killed in an alcohol-related crash. So please don't drive when you've been drinking. Plan ahead. Arrange a designated driver. Remember, friends don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, your authority on motorsports of all types. Be listening for the most accurate and up-to-the-minute coverage of every motorsports activity that you enjoy on a daily basis. Be it NASCAR, be it IRL, be it Formula One, be it drag racing, be it dirt track, off-road, props, hulls, whatever. We are your source for motorsports. Performance Motorsports Network.
This is Joey Logano, driver of a NASCAR number 22 discount tire car. You know something? You and I aren't all that different. I drive a car, you drive a car. My car has tires, your car has tires. I may be going just a little faster than you each weekend, but we both need to keep those tires properly inflated to stay safe. So be tire smart and do your part. Check your tire pressures once a month and before every long journey.
Visit BeTiresmart.org. A message from the Rubber Manufacturers Association.
Now, back to more with Tom and the Speed 77 radio crew. It's the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to tonight's Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. I am Tom Baker along with Jacob Seelman and Kyle Magda, and we are joined now by the driver who won two big events over Labor Day weekend. One here at the Oswego Speedway, the Race of Champions Modified 125, and one then on Monday on the Labor Day holiday itself at Hickory Motor Speedway in North Carolina. Andy Jankowiak, welcome to the program. And I'm not sure what you were eating for breakfast over Labor Day weekend, but you might want to make it a race day part of your routine from now on.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I don't know. That was just one heck of a weekend. Still can't believe it. We got back from that one, and it looks like we're running right back off to Waterford. So I'm not sure it's really even sunk in yet. We haven't had a minute to process, but it was good.
Well, it definitely seemed good, and I know the Oswego race. I mean, I was there for that one and covering it for Race Chaser Online, and you really had a great run, and it was almost as if we kind of didn't know you were there until after you came out of the pits, and boy, whatever tire they put on your car must have been supercharged because you were a rocket ship after that.
Well, we kind of had a strategy to try to hang out the first half of the race and try to save a little tire. And, I've gone into races with that strategy before, and you really need the race to kind of fall, into your hands for that specific strategy. And that just happened to be one race where it just laid out, everything worked out perfect. Everything just kind of fell right into our hands. It was the right strategy for that race. And at the end, I think we had a little bit more rubber than those guys. And certainly Matt, he tried not pitting and staying up front there, and we were just a little bit better at the end, and we were able to capitalize. Like I said, just a total team effort. Got to thank my guys for getting me out of the pits so quick and back up on the track. Car was handling perfectly. Got to thank Ricky over at Two Quick Motorsports for helping me out with that, and just everything came together.
Well, that had to be a special one for you. I mean, Oswego, obviously, one of the premier tracks where the modifieds race in New York State, and to win there. And I know that had to be something very special for you after trying for a while.
Oh, my God. After, just growing up being a New York modified fan, Oswego's our Daytona, it's our Indianapolis, it's our everything. So I started my racing career, thinking about my racing career when I was, 5 years old, and if there was 5 things I wanted to do, the short list, winning a modified race at Oswego was on it. So that was a big accomplishment for me personally, for everyone on my team. I got my Uncle Jake, my buddy Dennis Duffy, who was on Donnie Pratt's crew, that have been banging around with the modifieds for a long time, and that was their first win at Oswego for them guys too, so that was pretty cool.
And then you come south, Andy, and manage to go to Hickory in a 30-car field, and that tough little third mile, you end up with a victory there, too, on the Coma Tour. You guys were one of basically the smallest teams there. You come and do it kind of with a bit of a bare-bones operation, and yet you stomped on the Myers brothers, Jeremy Mayfield, all the big names of the Southern modified ranks. I mean, how big was it for you guys not just to back up your Oswego win, but to do it really soundly in such a big way?
I mean, it was just such a satisfying weekend just for everyone on the team. I mean, we've been running so good this year, and we had so much trouble for just finding victory lane this year. Had a few seconds, had fast cars and had something break or get caught up in a wreck. So I feel we've been capable of doing what we did for a long time. It's just a matter of putting an entire race together, and we were finally able to do that twice. Like I said, the Hickory race, we kind of played that like the Oswego race, and that was just another one that the strategy just kind of came back into our favor. I know I talked to a couple guys. They missed the stagger a little bit on their after their pit stops, and they're fighting it a little bit. So, we just we hit it twice. We're still very, very humble. We know how hard it is to do, and what an accomplishment both those races were. So, be able to do it twice is cool. We're going to go back and try to do a couple more times this year.
For you guys being a little bit of a smaller team, I mean, with this season being the way it's been, does it make you proud of how far you guys have come and really, maybe set that bar a little bit higher going forward into next year now, knowing what you guys have been able to accomplish?
I feel a sense of accomplishment just in it's great that we solidified and we could prove what we were able to do. I've had all the confidence all along that our race team's capable of winning races and competing with some of the higher funded teams. Like I say, we're a low budget team, but we know what makes sense and we know what we need to win races, and we're really not lacking much there. Like I say, we got Greg Edwards' motor. We're probably down a couple horsepower, but I think on some of the smaller tracks that actually gives me a little bit more drivability. So if you dot your I's and cross your T's, once you get out on the racetrack, a better handling car makes up for. I take a better handling car over 50 horsepower any day. So we're doing our homework and just trying to get everything right, and it's finally starting to come together. And looking forward to doing more next year.
I was going to say, talking about next year, what is next for Andy J and this crew?
I'm just so blessed right now. I have so many good people behind me, trying to support me and trying to get me up to that next level. We're gonna try. We're gonna try to do some wheeling stuff. That's on the agenda. We're building the car for that. That's with a friend of mine is gonna be the car owner on that one. That's not my personal deal, but we're looking at doing some wheeling stuff in the near future, hoping for next year.
Nice.
We're going to run more Coma stuff next year, and then we'll be doing the ROC one way or another.
And I know a lot of people go into this. There's a lot of people I'm sure you want to thank after the success you've had recently, Andy. Go ahead and give them a shout-out. Who makes it happen for you and for this crew?
Oh, my Uncle Jake. He goes with me to all of them. I just, doing these long nights at the shop just about wiped him out. He's my father's brother, so he's in his 50s now, so I wear him out pretty good, but he hangs pretty tough, so got to thank him for all his help all the way. My buddy Steve, we call him Batman because he's always up all night like me working on the race cars, so he's come on here the past couple of years, and he's just been a great supporter and great guidance all the way just to kind of get us to where we need to be competing at the level that we're competing at right now. I got my buddy Dennis, does all my tires when we go to these races. Like I say, he's one of Donnie Pratt's crew guys, so he's got between those three guys, I got 400 years of modified experience, so that always helps. I got my buddy Matt Hope. Yeah, it might be a little exaggerated. They might be mad at me for saying that.
I think
I got my buddy Matt Hope. He goes to all the races with me. He's like me. He's a mechanic. He'll get right in there, and we get everything done. Needs to get done, get the trailer loaded, and do all the grunt work. I got my little buddy Billy. Goes to all the races with me, helps out. He's a little bit younger. He's like my stepson, so we're kind of learning him about the race cars and all that, and he's picking everything up, and he's really been a big help. His Uncle Bobby helps me out back at the shop. Just everybody that works on the car that makes this happen for me. It's just a total team effort. It really, really is.
Well, we're definitely thrilled for you. That was a super, super weekend, and we just love to watch you run, Andy, and definitely excited about seeing more and more from you in Victory Lane. And we'll look forward to talking to you maybe a little later on in this season as you kind of wind things down up here, and definitely to following you for into 2016 as well. So that's Andy Jankowiak, and we are going to step aside. When we come back, we are staying with the modified theme here on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. We're going NASCAR Wheeling Southern Tour Modified Racing with Georgie Brunnholzel III. Right after this, you're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speeds, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
The odds of a young girl being discovered by an industry insider while singing to herself pumping gas. 1 in 300 million. The odds of a daughter of a clergyman from Severn, Maryland, spending 11 weeks at #1 on the U.S. singles charts. 1 in 19 million. The odds of going on to win 7 Grammy Awards? 1 in 1.4 million. The odds of selling over 40 million records? 1 in 800,000. The odds of this musician and performer having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I'm Toni Braxton, and I encourage you to learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Autism Speaks. It's time to listen. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Eric Darnell.
This is David Reagan.
Jamie McMurray. This is Carl Edwards here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety.
Want to make a difference? It's simple. Be responsible.
Plan ahead. Designate before you celebrate.
Friends don't let friends drive drunk.
Yes, I'm gonna be a star. A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, your authority on motorsports of all types. Be listening for the most accurate and up-to-the-minute coverage of every motorsports activity that you enjoy on a daily basis. Be it NASCAR, be it IRL, be it Formula One, be it drag racing, be it dirt track, off-road, props, hulls, whatever. We are your source for motorsports. Performance Motorsports Network. Here we go with more of the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to Thursday Night Thunder here on the Performance Motorsports Network. On the show we call the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. I'm Tom Baker along with Jacob Seelman and Kyle Magnet. We've been talking modifieds with Andy Jankowiak. We're going to bring in our second driver guest of the evening and talk modifieds a little more. George Brunholzer III. George, you haven't been out on the program in a little while. We definitely are excited to have you back and looking forward to some big races coming up for you. Talk a little bit for the listeners who haven't been able to keep up with you. Let's go backwards a little bit. Just give us a little bit of a recap of your season so far.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me on the show again. It's been a little while. So it's always a great time when I get to be a part of your show.
We appreciate it.
The season started off a little rough for us. We started out with a new Troyer experimental TA2 chassis and just had some learning curves with it. Had some mechanical issues on our end, no fault of the chassis. Then got caught up in some wrecks beginning of the year. So by halfway through the season, we were sitting pretty far back. But the last 3 races, we've been able to, 4 races, we've actually been able to finish. And by finishing them, we've won 2 of them, and I think we finished 3rd in the other ones. So it's starting to come together. We're learning the Troyer TA2 chassis a lot better now, and really looking forward to these last 3 races.
I was going to say, you've got 3 races to go, George, and you've really just blasted back into contention. Like you said, it may have taken a little bit of time, but you've gotten there. And now you've got 8 drivers within a half a race, 26 points for the championship, and you've shot up to within 9 points of a title. So the people want to know, and quite frankly, we want to know, is that 5th title in you this year? Can you go and get it done?
I sure hope so. I mean, we've been really good all year, just one of those years where we don't have the finishes to show it. But now that we're finishing, we're winning. So we just need to be able to put everything behind us and finish the race. And the car is plenty fast enough, and the guys do a phenomenal job on pit road. So if we could finish the race, the chances of winning are very good because the car is so fast right now.
I mean, you don't have far to go when the top 5 are separated by less than 10 points. And you stop and look at some of the guys you've been up against this year, Jason and Burt Myers, Andy Seiss, Kyle Ebersole, even Frank Fleming's been right up there in the mix. From our standpoint, it looks like the competition this year is some of the best it's ever been on the Southern Tour. And I'm curious if you would agree to that, knowing how many guys have been in contention the last couple of races.
Yeah, it's definitely, the competition has definitely gotten closer and closer every year. This year, probably like you said, being the most competitive it's been. There's 5, 6, 7 guys that can win at any given race, so that definitely makes it harder. And with the season being short, it's relatively impossible to come back from multiple or even one bad race with the competition being so close.
Yeah, it definitely is. Definitely is close, and it seems like to me that almost this year it's gotten more intense as the season has gone on. In the beginning, I think we had a few northern invaders that were dicing it up with you guys, but as the season's gone on, it's like some of you guys have just stepped up the game a little bit, even more so than usual. This has been a really, really hotly contested year in that series.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Like you said, at the beginning of the season, the North guys had come down, Ryan and Goodale, and had good finishes, won some races, so that kind of shook up the top of the points then. And then when their season started, they kind of fell back, and our guys came on, and then myself and a couple of the other typical front-running guys had issues, so that put us behind, and now we're starting to make our way back up, and it's just creating a really good points battle.
You've got 3 races left on the schedule. South Boston and Charlotte are the bookends, and I know you've been very good at both of those tracks over the years, but Hickory, I think, kind of throws a little bit of a wrench into the works because it's been off the Southern Tour for so long, George, and I know it's a very historical track for modified racing. It's right in our backyard here for Tom and I. Are you guys excited to get back there and have a chance to race at Hickory again, knowing kind of some of the history and some of the great racing that the Tour put on in some prior seasons there?
We are. Hickory's a fun track. It puts on a great show for the fans, so by all means, anybody in that area needs to come check it out. It's a really good show. And the last time the NASCAR race did run there, we were fortunate enough to win it, so definitely looking forward to going back and hopefully picking up right where we left off.
George, you bring up Charlotte coming up here next month. I mean, what's it like to race on a track, even though it's the quarter-mile track, to be on the track the same day as the NASCAR Sprint Cup and Xfinity Series runs at?
It's an amazing experience. The environment is cool. The PR you get, everything, the media, you guys, everybody does such a great job. So that aspect of it is really cool. I wish, obviously, like most of us, one day to be able to run on the big track, but just to be there with those guys at the same venue is pretty cool.
And it's a tough little quarter mile, too. You talk about virtually no banking. I know a lot of people equate it to Bowman Gray, but I think it was Andy Seiss that said on this show earlier this year, you can't run Charlotte like you run Bowman Gray. They're just two completely different animals, and yet you've been so good there. I mean, what's the secret to running well on that quarter mile at Charlotte?
I don't know. There is something about it that does fit my driving style, and it is different than Bowman Gray by all means. I'm very fortunate to run good at both places, but Charlotte is its own animal. There's nothing like Charlotte nor Bowman Gray anywhere else, so it's kind of two very unique tracks, but we're very fortunate to run good at both of them.
What's the secret to passing at Charlotte? I mean, I watch races and I watch you guys and I try to look at how you're driving the track, and it almost just seems like you either wait for somebody to make a mistake or you lay a bumper. I mean, it seems like it's just so hard to get a run on anybody on that particular track.
It is. You hit the nail on the head. The one word you need to do when passing at Bowman Gray or Charlotte is the front bumper.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is the way you got to pass. You have limited opportunity on restarts, but you can put yourself in position to make a pass on a restart if somebody bobbles or you just happen to be in a good lane. But when you're single file, you could be up to half a second quicker than the guy in front of you, and unless you actually put the bumper to him, you're not going to get him out of the way.
That's just got to be so frustrating to know that you're that much faster than the guy in front of you, but you just don't have enough racetrack to pass him.
Exactly. It's very frustrating, and those two tracks, especially Charlotte, it is very, very important to have a good qualifying effort because of passing just near to impossible for a clean driver.
We're looking forward to seeing that one, and we'll be there covering it, and definitely excited about watching that one and watching you guys run there. I know you can't do this by yourself. You got a lot of good people that help you out with your effort. Here's an opportunity to talk about who makes it happen for GB3.
I do, thank you. I got to thank Dunleavy's Truck and Trailer Repair, Composite Technologies, Robert Yates Race Engines with phenomenal horsepower, Oval Speed Unlimited. My uncle, he owns a speed shop, keeps the parts on and put the cars back together, and this year I've needed quite a few of them. My guys, they're here actually. We're at the shop now, pit practicing. They know what they need to do, and they get it done every week on pit practice, and my dad puts the right calls into the car, and everybody, it's just a giant team effort and family support, and it all works.
Well, you're always fun to talk to, and we appreciate you taking some time to come on with us tonight, and certainly wish you the best down the stretch here, and we're looking forward to seeing you at a couple of the shows along the way, and particularly excited about the one at Charlotte. That's always an intriguing race to watch.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait to see you guys. Hopefully we'll be able to chat again and after Charlotte in a little better position.
Sounds great. We appreciate it. That's George Brunholzel III. Thank you for being on. And Jacob, there's a driver right there that I watched him race for a while, and I know you have too. And I used to watch his dad run, actually. And, they're just such a nice family. And that's a driver with a lot of talent that I always wished would have gotten a solid opportunity in one of the big NASCAR series, because I think he had and still has what it takes to be successful at a much higher level.
And stop and think, he's still fairly young, too, on the totem pole. He's not 30 years old yet. So, the opportunities are still there. We're starting to see that with some of the modified guys like a Ryan Preece and an Andy Seiss. So, to see them get bigger stock car opportunities gives me hope that for some of these modified guys, they'll get that chance. But I'm just really excited about this whole Southern Tour coming up. When you stop and consider that you've got Jason Myers leading the points by a marker, 1 point. Andy Seiss, Burt Myers, Kyle Ebersol, GB3, all within 10 points of the lead with still 3 races to go. It's going to take whoever can win some of these races to win the championship, Tom. I think he's got all the momentum right now, and I'm looking forward to watching this title fight go down to the wire. You say he's got talent. He's won 4 of these suckers before as far as the championships go.
Absolutely.
So I think he's in great position for number 5, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Well, it is going to be fun to watch, and that's why I really was talking a lot about Charlotte, because to have a track like that, it's almost a wild card in the
finale.
And it's the finale. So I mean, it comes down to a track where it's so doggone hard to pass. You just got to believe if the points chase is anywhere near that close when we get to Charlotte with all those drivers mixed up, that race is going to be some fireworks. And with that, we're going to step aside. When we come back, more race talk on Thursday Night Thunder here on the Performance Motorsports Network. Stick around. You are listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show.
Do you love the sound of high revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him going on to fascinate millions with his talent? 1 in 260,000. The odds of this born racer having 157 career top 10 finishes in NASCAR? 1 in 125 billion. But every driver seeks the pinnacle of their achievements. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year? 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I'm NASCAR driver Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, your authority on motorsports of all types. Be listening for the most accurate and up-to-the-minute coverage of every motorsports activity that you enjoy on a daily basis. Be it NASCAR, be it IRL, be it Formula One, be it drag racing, be it dirt track, off-road, props, hulls, whatever. We are your source for motorsports. Performance Motorsports Network. And now, back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show with Speed 77 Radio's most follically challenged host, Tom Baker.
Always about the hair, Tom. It's always about the hair.
And it's never a compliment either. It's
Nope.
always,
That's
it's always a
not how
dig.
it works.
It's like we got Donald Trump doing transitions for our shows
Ouch. Hey, listen. At least you're not wearing a squirrel on your head.
That's right. I always wondered if that thing on his head was some sort of a relative of Cousin It from the Addams Family.
Anyway, let's not get ourselves in trouble here.
Oh, that's it. Donald Trump can call me anytime he wants. We're back on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. I promise we'll change back to motorsports here right now. Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman, Kyle Magda, and Jacob, you had a chance over the weekend to go do something I wish I could have gone to do with you, and that is you went over to be a part of and announce the big Sunoco Southern Super Series.
Yeah, that's a mouthful,
over
ain't
in
it?
Alabama, yeah, at Montgomery Motor Speedway. Chase Elliott getting the win, and that was a stacked field. Wow, was that ever a competitive field? And it was great to see Chase end up winning that one after just winning the Xfinity race the day before.
Well, the story wasn't that he won it, Tom. It was the manner in how he won it. Because at about lap 153, 47 laps to go, I thought Chase Elliott's race was over. And I'll go back a little bit and hit on a couple of points that you gave me here. First off, the field was stacked. We may have only had 20 cars, but there were probably 15 of them that had a legitimate shot to win. You talk about, some of the Florida guys like Kyle Bryant. You talk about Bubba Pollard, Augie Grill. Of course, you throw Chase in there, Ross Kenseth, Harrison Burton, some of the famous sons of the sport. And you've got Southern Super Series regulars like Casey Smith, Donnie Wilson, who brought his stuff to the track, mind you, in a U-Haul trailer because his trailer broke down in Memphis, Tennessee on the way to the racetrack. Garrett Jones was in the mix, started on the pole. That 16-year-old is going to be one heck of a shoe over the next couple of years. He really already is, driving for Mike Garvey and Tracy Goodson in the one car. But it was just an incredible field. I was upstairs for all 200 laps of it. That was a great experience. Stan Naris and the whole crew at Montgomery always do an outstanding job every time I've been down there. It's just been an absolute pleasure. Dan Spence in the race director's booth does a great job with this series. And, Chase had a flat tire at lap 153. This was a little bit past the halfway break where they made some adjustments to the car. He was running about anywhere from 5th to 7th through the first half of the race. His crew chief, Ricky Turner, made some adjustments, and boy, that car just came to life. He shot to the front in about, 30 laps or so, was knocking on the door or the rear deck lid of Donnie Wilson for the lead. Then all of a sudden, Wilson has a flat tire on lap 152. Chase has a flat tire the next lap. They're both lucky enough to get cautions to be able to replace the tires, get back on the track. Chase restarted 10th with 47 laps to go, Tom. It took him 28 laps to go from 10th to 1st. He had a great battle with Kyle Grissom for the win, and once Chase finally got by him, there was no looking back from there. He was absolutely determined to win that race, and he went out and won it for the second time in 3 years. Really thrilling fashion. That Montgomery is a track where the race fans like to see some of these big names come in and, help support their local short track, and I promise you, even if there were some people in the stands that weren't Chase Elliott fans, every fan, when he took the lead for the last time, was on their feet because they respected the drive back through the field that he put on at just 19 years old to go and stomp some of the best in the Gulf South to win that race. It was remarkable. I felt really privileged to be able to see it. And, Chase was just pure class after the race and said that he really hopes that if the Cup schedule will allow him to next year, he still wants to run some of these super late model races. And for me, that's commendable out of a young man who has not at all forgotten about where he's come from.
Well, and not only that, but it's great for the fans too. I understand why a lot of the Cup guys don't go run other shows, but I'm always excited. It's I'm not crazy about them running the other NASCAR National Series as we've talked about before, but I like seeing them come down and run, in the late models or whatever, because it gives a lot of fans the opportunity to see those guys and to meet them who ordinarily would not have the chance because they wouldn't go to a NASCAR race, and even if they did, they certainly wouldn't likely be, in the garage or whatever. The drivers just aren't as accessible at the NASCAR races, so it's always good to see one of those guys. Kyle Busch does a lot of it. Matt Kenseth still does some, and David Reagan and such. But like I said, it was a great win for Chase. And there are drivers who are just great in long distance events, and it takes a little bit of a patient mentality. But of course, with what happened with Chase during the race, it ended up being he had to throw patience out the window and just step on it.
Exactly.
So even if he started out wanting to be patient, that strategy went out the window once he had the flat tire.
Yeah, it did. And, he and Donnie Wilson both fought back. Donnie got back to 6th and cut a few points more into Casey Smith's championship lead, headed to Pensacola, Florida. The final race of the season going to be at Five Flags Speedway next Saturday. So, if you can't be at Five Flags for that, there's going to be a live video, online video telecast of that race. And the Southern Super Series is doing a lot of great things right now. They've already announced the 2016 opener is going to be at the Rattler 250 again at South Alabama Speedway in March. They're really starting to build. I've heard rumors there may be a couple of new tracks added to the schedule, and they may have to work to fill a couple of gaps for next year, Tom, because a piece of news came at me this morning that I was completely floored by, and it's one of my favorite tracks in the Gulf South, Mobile International Speedway, which is one of the tracks right there on the Gulf Coast, just past the Florida Panhandle into Alabama, has announced they are seeking new management for the 2016 season. The track is up for up for sale or long-term lease, and I was just very surprised by that. I know, track management there was a husband and wife pairing for a long, long time in that area. The husband passed away a few years ago. His wife's been managing the track with help from the track promoter. I know Rick Crawford was in there at one point, but searching for new management for 2016, and I hope they get it because that's one of my favorite tracks to watch a race at anywhere in the country, and I really don't want to see it just sitting there idle, especially knowing that series like the Southern Super Series, the Gulf Coast Late Model Series, some of these big groups, even the sprint car action that goes down there in mid-April. I just don't want to see all of that good racing not have a place to call home for 2016. It'd be really disappointing.
Well, that is a bombshell, and it's really, as you say, it would be unfortunate if for whatever reason they couldn't reopen. I hope they can find the right person to come in, much like Montgomery did with Stan Narrison, because they had some issues. Prior to Stan being there, they'd had some issues with trying to keep a manager or a promoter in place, and Stan came in and has done a great job there. And so hopefully Mobile will be able to find someone similar to Stan who has the passion and has the leadership ability to be able to handle running a track like that. That's definitely going to be a blow. But what a race for the Super Series over the weekend. It sounded like it was just a really enjoyable time for you.
It really was. I very much enjoyed it. And you talk about fans enjoying some of the NASCAR stars that come down and run that race. We had an autograph session for an hour prior to the green flag for the Modifieds of Mayhem Tour, which is a Gulf South-based modified tour, kind of based at Montgomery, but goes around Mobile, Pensacola, some of those tracks down in that region of the country. It's the specs are almost identical to the NASCAR Southern Tour, as a matter of fact. They put on a 75-lap race before the 200-lapper for the super late models. But the autograph session before, Tom, you mentioned the fans being grateful for somebody like Chase coming in. The line to get autographs at that 9 car was stacked from start to finish, and Chase made sure that there was time for every single fan that came up there and wanted a couple of seconds. He gave them the time. It was really admirable. I see a lot of his dad in him, but I also see a lot of a guy named Petty that used to do things like that back in the 70s and 80s. And I just, I have this gut feeling that we haven't seen anywhere close to what Chase Elliott's capable of, both on the track and away from it yet. I truly do feel he's going to be one of the next great stars of this sport at all levels, not just at the Cup level.
Well, I agree with that. 100% I agree with that. Chase is a class act. I mean, his parents have done a great job with him, bringing him up and really keeping him humble, particularly through his early success with the championship last year and such. Easily, Jacob, his head could have swelled to extra large proportions because he had so much success so quick, but that's just not who Chase is, and that's commendable. And I'm looking forward to seeing him in the Cup Series and not expecting him to go out and set the world on fire his first year, but he doesn't have to. There's just not going to be any pressure there.
No, there really isn't gonna be, and I think that's what's most exciting. It's gonna be all about where can you set the bar and how big can you build from that bar.
Right.
And it'll be interesting to watch. I'm looking forward to it. Another thing I'm looking forward to is what we've got coming up in the second half of tonight's show, which we'll get to in a couple of minutes, because we're gonna shift gears to some more Fender cars, talk some K&M Pro Series East action with the most recent tour winner from last Thursday night at Richmond International Raceway. He propelled himself back into the championship hunt, and now Austin Hill joins us in just a moment. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on PMN, the Performance Motorsports Network.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Every 30 minutes, another innocent person is killed due to a drunk driver.
My best friend. My brother. My poor grandchild.
My sister.
My father.
My husband.
My mom. My mommy.
Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you.
Stop these tragedies before they happen. Don't drink and drive.
The Performance Motorsports Network is a compilation of shows about motorsports. From technical to controversial to just fun, everything you like about racing and gearhead stuff is right here on one internet channel. The Performance Motorsports Network. Tell your friends about it.
Hi, I'm Reed Sorensen. Racing has been a part of me and my family for as long as I can remember. I had to make tough choices early on to get to the top. It took hard work and dedication. But it's those tough choices that help me prepare for challenges I would face as a cup driver. Make the right choices today and be ready for the challenges tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Now back to Speed 77 Radio, Stock Car Steel, SRI Motorsports Show, and more Thursday night race talk. Here's your host, Tom Baker.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports. And I am the aforementioned Tom Baker. Along with Jacob Seelman and Kyle Magda, we are all part of RaceChaserOnline.com staff, and definitely excited about all of the coverage that we've got going on over the next several weeks, not just from the NASCAR circuit as the chase starts to heat up, but also some of the short track stuff as well, including this Saturday from the Oswego Speedway, where the Super Modifieds are running their finale for the season at the Fast 5/8 of a mile, along with the small blocks. But right now we start to talk some NASCAR K&M Pro Series East as we bring in Austin Hill. And Austin, it's great to have you back on the show. It's been a little while since we've talked to you. You got a huge win last week at Richmond. That had to feel great, even though obviously I'm sure you would have preferred it went the distance.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, guys. I love talking to you guys, but we just we prevailed for sure. We definitely, first practice was definitely tough for us. Really first and second practice was tough for us. We just did not have the car that we needed in practice. We were so tight rolling to the center of the corner and just could not roll the bottom at all. It just slid up the track. And, my guys, they did a heck of a job changing a lot of geometry stuff in the front end, changing springs in the front and rear of the car. I mean, we threw the kitchen sink at it for sure. And, I had no idea what I had going into the race, but I knew I was going to have to be aggressive. We knew the rain was coming. We just didn't know when it was going to get there. We thought that we could definitely get halfway, but we just didn't know how much further after halfway we could go. So to be able to get the wins, definitely a huge boost for us. We've had a little bit of bad luck with some tire issues and stuff like that. So to be able to get the win and close up the gap going into Dover is huge for us.
You've closed up the gap, and I'll talk to that in a minute, but how challenging were the track conditions all day at Richmond, Austin, knowing that you guys battled the rain off and on? Obviously, you said the handling wasn't quite where you wanted it to be for the longest time, but it just seemed like the track kept changing all day long because you could never get a prolonged dry spell to be able to really lay any rubber down until the race.
Yeah, definitely the track was changing all day. It seemed like, when there was no clouds in the track and the sun was really beaming down on the track, then your car would handle differently. And then, we'd have some cloud cover, and then the track would cool off, and then the handling on your car would be totally different again. So nobody probably really knew what they had going into the race. I definitely didn't know what I had going into the race. I thought my car was, terrible at the beginning of practice and even second practice, even though we were able to, we got the car better from first practice to second practice, but second practice qualifying, we still did not feel like we had the speed to win the race or really even finish in the top 5. We thought that we maybe had a top 10 car at the time. And like I said, we threw everything at it from second practice into qualifying. And qualifying, you only get 2 laps. You really don't know what you have going into the race from qualifying. And we threw everything at it, and it was enough. We from green flag all the way to when we had the caution and it ended up raining it out, I ran it pretty hard. So if we would have went the full distance, I'm not sure if we would have won the race. It would have been a battle for sure. I had burned my right rear a little bit, but at the same time, I was trying to save it just because I did not know how long we were going to go. So it was very tough in the race car. I had the spotter, I had the crew chief, and everybody telling me where the rain was. They said it was over top of us, but we still ran the extra 10 laps. But, for us to bring home the win, like I said, for overcoming all the adversity that we had going into when we unloaded to how we ended up, was definitely big for us and our team.
So you mentioned, too, you closed up the championship battle. It's 14 or 15 points headed into the finale at Dover, where you're the 2-time defending winner. I know it's going to take a little bit of help from William Byron finishing just outside that top 10 for you guys to have a legitimate shot at it. But knowing how good you are at Dover, is the confidence at least there that you can go in and do all that you can and kind of put it on him to finish where he needs to in this fight for the championship?
Yeah, I feel like my confidence and my team's confidence is through the roof right now. I feel like we got the most confidence out of anybody in the K&N series right now. I feel like going to Dover, being a 2-time winner, having the knowledge at the track, what the track does from lap 1 to lap 125. I know what the track's going to do. Both years we've unloaded and the car's been really close. We've tuned on it just a little bit to make it that much better. And then in the race, when we have the halfway break, we're able to tweak on it just enough to make it that much better from the rest of the field. So going into Dover, I have the most confidence in the world. I feel like we have a really good shot at winning, and that's the only thing I will be thinking about the whole race and all weekend is winning the race, making the car as best as it can. And, wherever Byron finishes, whether it's, 5th, 6th, 10th, 11th, we're definitely going to give it our best shot. But I do feel like as good as H. Scott and those guys are, they probably will have to have a little bit of a problem, maybe, a tire going down, something like that to happen for them not to be in the top 10 because the H. Scott cars, they're always good everywhere they go. But on second thought, you also have, some drivers in there that haven't been to Dover. You don't know what Dover's like or anything like that. Luckily enough, I had a really good car, and I took to Dover very well, but you never know. A couple other drivers, they might not take to Dover as well, or they might, not have the car that you would expect H. Scott to have. So, it's going to be a battle for sure, and we're really excited about it.
I know you're excited, and I also know that despite the little bit of a rough stretch, the middle of the season that you guys had, it's really honestly been a successful year for you. And, knowing that you guys may not have all the funding that an H. Scott or some of these other teams have, are you content with where you guys are at, having a decent shot at the title going to Dover and having the wins that you've had this season?
Yeah, I'm really proud of my guys and our team. We're a small team. We have 3 full-time guys in the shop now, and that's including me. So, we're grinding hard at it. Getting ready for Dover. It was awesome getting the win at Richmond, but first thing Monday morning, we were back in the shop figuring out, what we can do to make the car even better going to Dover. What we can do to have that edge on the whole field. So when we get to Dover, we unload, we're fast, the car feels good, everybody's feeling good, and we don't have to work as hard as we did at Richmond because my guys, they were wore out when we left Richmond. They worked their tails off to get that win. That's probably the hardest they've worked or had to work to get a car that was that bad and turn it around and make for a good day. But, I think going to Dover is a really good track for us, like I said, and I really think that we're going to hopefully have the upper hand, and it's going to be on our side. We just might need Byron to have a little bit of trouble.
Austin, the race at Dover is 125 laps, a little shorter than you've run in the past. When you think about it, does that change your approach knowing that race is 25 laps shorter than it normally is?
Yeah, most times I've been there, the first run, you're just kind of figuring out what the car's doing, what you need to do to make it better for the second half. And that's normally why you see me running anywhere from second to third, the first, 50 laps, 75 laps, however long it is before the break. We're just basically trying to figure out what the car's doing and, what we need to do to make it that much better for the second half. And then once the second half comes around, it's run as hard as you can, get the lead, and then try to save your stuff. But I do think it being 25 laps shorter, you won't have to save your tires as much. So you will be able to run it a little harder, and you'll see guys, making moves a lot sooner than they did last year to try to get up through the field so they can get in good track position at halfway.
Yeah, and you're battling Scott Heckert, William Byron for the championship. They're both scheduled to run the ARCA race at Kentucky next weekend. Have you ever expressed interest in maybe running one of those cars and trying to expand your learning curve a little bit, maybe run a super speedway race like at a track like, let's say, Kentucky or Pocono?
Yeah, the only ARCA race and race like that that I've ran is, Daytona. So, we would definitely love to expand that and go to, a bigger track like a mile and a half and, learn a little bit on the mile and a half. It makes it a little bit easier for next year if we was to do a little bit of ARCA and a little bit of K&N because you run the same bodies now. The only difference is really, the motor. So that'll make it a lot easier for us if we decide to do the ARCA. We're just mainly right now we're really looking at sponsorship. We're wanting to run a full season truck deal next year, or at least a half season of trucks next year. But the funding definitely has to be there for us to do that. And right now we're really working hard every day to find the sponsorship to go to the next level because, one day I definitely want to be able to run in the trucks full-time, Xfinity, and then hopefully Cup one day. But, I'm 21 years old, so I'm not getting any younger, so we definitely are going to have to speed that process up a little bit.
I can understand that. And, you mentioned funding right there. I know some of the funding has gone into the season you've had this year, Austin. I know there's people to thank. Who makes it happen for you in the 22 crew?
Yeah, I got to thank my dad first off and my whole family. If it wasn't for them, I definitely wouldn't be here today. They're the whole reason I am where I am. And, ever since I was 5 years old, all I've ever wanted to do is, running the Sprint Cup Series. And, we've every year been getting a little closer and a little closer. So hopefully next year we're going to get even that much closer to that dream of mine. And, I got to thank Don Rich Ford for coming on this year as they did last year, helping us out a little bit. And, you know, all my fans, everybody, my whole family, and, you know, my crew guys, they've worked their tails off this year. And, you know, I'm really excited, like I said, for going to Dover. And I think we have a really good shot at it, so I'm excited.
Well, we always appreciate having you on, Austin. We're looking forward to seeing you down the stretch here, and I know Kyle will be seeing you at Dover, so we'll wish you the best of luck for the K&N East finale and see if you can't bring home the championship. That's Austin Hill, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the series he wants to try and jump into and go ARCA racing. Kyle Weatherman joins us to talk Cunningham Motorsports and a victory in the Short Track Challenge Championship for 2015. That's around the turn. Right now, you're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right, it's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Hi, this is John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting, here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You know, style is a personal thing, and your lifestyle is your business. But if you take it on the road, it becomes everybody's business. So please, plan ahead, designate before you celebrate. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Ryan Priest, driver in the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tours. Let's send it back to Speed 77 Radio, Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show, here on PMN, the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. I'm Tom Baker along with Jacob Seelman and Kyle Magden. We're talking racing on a Thursday night. We call it Thursday Night Thunder here on PMN, the voice of motorsports, having some fun. And, man, we've been about all over the map in terms of various types of racing and series that we've talked about, Jacob. And now it's time to change again. We're going to move quickly to the ARCA Racing Series and bring back a guest that we always enjoy having on the program, and it seems like lately we're having more and more reason to keep having him back. Kyle Weatherman, welcome back to the program, and man, you just keep on keeping on this year, it seems like.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been a great year, and hopefully we can finish it off strong. We've got these next three races, and I feel really confident going in all three of them next 2 weekends here. We just we've been doing really good this year, and I'm really proud of everything my team's done for me. Hopefully, like I said, we hopefully can finish off strong.
Well, you've certainly proven that you can finish strong, and we've watched it grow really to almost unbelievable proportions the last couple of races. I know bigger than certainly you or I expected over the past couple of weeks. You go into Salem not needing to worry about this race in the Calypso Lemonade's Short Track Challenge point standings. You've already got it locked up over a guy that's been as successful and was really successful on the short tracks the early part of the year in Grand Enfinger. I know you said to me back about mid-June or so that you were focused on it because this was your championship. It was all the races you could run this season, and you go out, beat the best of the best, and get to put your name on a pretty cool trophy at the banquet in December. I know you said you hoped this might be the outcome, but is the reality a little bit sweeter than that, knowing all the guys you had to beat to get there?
Yeah, it really is. The ARCA competition today, I think is strong as really it's ever been. There's a lot of competitive cars in there, a lot of competitive teams, and to know that we have the highest ranking in all the short track is really cool. We've got a few more things that we're kind of in hunt for right now. The owners' points and the Scott Rookie Challenge also. That would be awesome to get. My owner Kerry Shearer and Briggs Cunningham. Those final two things that we're in hunt for. Obviously, and every week I go to the racetrack, I go there for the win. I'd like to get a few more of those, and kind of just seal the deal off. These final three races, and have an excellent year. It's already been really good. It would be really nice to have an excellent year for sure.
And it's really been amazing because you've run 5 or 6 less races, and yet you still sit in the top 10 in the overall point standings as well. In addition to everything else we're talking about here, you're going to end up with exactly enough races to be in legitimate contention for Rookie of the Year. I know it's going to be tight, but, knowing everything else you've already proven you can do, nobody is saying it's impossible at all. Could you have pictured being at this point when you started the year? I mean, you went into this really not having but a handful of ARCA starts under your belt, and now you've run the majority of the schedule. You won on a road course. You've got the Short Track Challenge Championship, and it all comes down to these last couple of races, Salem this weekend, and then 2 mile-and-a-half tracks that I know you're excited just to finally be old enough to run.
For sure, absolutely. Honestly, coming into this year, I had obviously high expectations, but nothing this large. But heck, I'm really glad that it's been going on this year. I figured it would take a little bit for me and Paul to get used to each other and kind of learn what we needed. But I mean, it was honestly, from day one that we kind of just understood each other, which is really cool to have for sure. Basically every race we've, Paul Andrews and myself have been, building on what we know and what we can do and what we can't do and stuff like that. That's definitely, projected us forward and the finishes that we're getting for sure.
How much have you learned from Paul this year, being a young guy and knowing all the experience that he's had, not just at this level, but going all the way up to the Cup Series as well? I know you've said before he's been able to teach you a whole lot about things you can do to make your on-track performance a little bit better, but is there anything specific that you've been able to glean from working with him this season?
Really the feedback I give him and how he's kind of taught me what adjustments could do what, so it's really just, teaching me everything about the race car. I go in there and work in the shop, and, I'm working right there with Paul and, everybody else there in the shop, they're all teaching me something really. Getting, the race car side of things, and then, the adjustment side of things on how, just random stuff will affect the race car and how it drives for a short run, long run, really everything. Having the background that he knows, and all of that information that he can, kind of lean towards me, is definitely helping out, and speeding up the process of their learning curve for sure.
It's 5 points between you and Grant for that owner's title. You've got one more top 10 than they do, but they've got a couple more wins on the season, and that's a battle that's really seesawed back and forth all year long. I mean, how perfect is this 22 car, and how perfect are you going to have to be over these last 3 races, knowing how good Grant and that 23 team have been in order to beat him and get the owner's title? Because I know how big that is for not just you, but for Kerry and Briggs as well.
That's huge. It really is. Honestly, Kerry's never won an Honors Championship. Neither has Briggs. So I'm really hoping, my first year here, we could do that for him. I know, Paul Andrews and myself are capable of doing it. I've definitely got confidence going in these next 3. I've been to Salem multiple times. I've been to Kentucky one time. Never been to Kansas, but that's in my opinion, that's Cunningham's best track. They always run good there. They always have really good speed too. So hopefully we can, do really, really good these next 3 races. Just, in my opinion, just top 5 these next 3. Obviously, if we're there in contention for the win, we're going to go for it. We got to definitely get better on sealing the deal. We've been really close multiple times. We got I think it's like 3 or 4 second place finishes now. So that's we just got to seal the deal. And I know we're all capable of it for sure.
Kyle, busy week coming up for you. Salem this weekend, and the Open Test at Kentucky on Tuesday. Then you're going to run the race there in Sparta on Friday. A year ago, we were talking about how you were looking forward to running Kentucky for the first time ever. You've had a year, to reflect. What's going to be like going back there, having the experience now and running on that rough surface at that 1.5 mile track?
It's going to be difficult. It really is. I haven't had much experience on a mile and a half. But having Tom Hesser, Chris Busher, Paul Andrews, everybody at the shop that's had experience with this stuff is definitely going to help for sure. I definitely lean on Tom and Chris, probably the most out of anybody, just for information or any feedback they can give me. Obviously I'm still the one driving it, but it definitely helps in my opinion for sure.
I'll give you a 2-parter before we send you on your way. The first part, you mentioned all the second place finishes you guys have had. You did everything you could to seal the deal at DuQuoin and then got passed on the last lap by Grant. Is it stinging a little bit going to Salem, or does it just give you that much more determination? And then, of course, give the sponsors some love too. Shout outs to anybody you need to.
Yeah, it was definitely a little rough right after the race. I got a little mad, and I shouldn't have, but it definitely gives me more motivation to do better at these next 3. And me and Grant have had an awesome season together. We've raced each other clean and hard too. So it's definitely been a fun season with Grant and everybody else too. So hopefully we can, like I said, finish off these next 3 and hopefully come home with a couple trophies for sure. Obviously, without my family, mom, dad, brother, sister, without their moral support and everything like that, I definitely wouldn't be here. So, I definitely got to thank them. Crosley Brands is starting to help us out a lot. So you got to thank them and Roush Fan Racing and Cunningham Motorsports. Without those guys, it wouldn't be possible. So I got to thank them for sure.
Well, I say it a lot. That it's been fun to watch you this season because it's definitely made the battle more entertaining. You're, I think, one of the bright talents that the ARCA Series has got. I know we're all hoping to see you full-time in that car in 2016, but always a pleasure to have you on the show and, just looking forward to these last couple of weeks before we get you into the off-season and hopefully talking to you a whole lot more going into the winter.
Sounds like a plan. And I also got to thank Briggs and Briggs, Cunningham, and Kerry Shear. Without those 2 guys, it definitely wouldn't be possible either. So I got to thank them for sure. Thanks for having me on, guys.
That's Kyle Weatherman, and we're going to shift gears one more time, go all the way across the country when we come back. We're going to talk K&M Pro Series West action with Noah Gragson, who won a race a couple weeks ago and now is back atop the heap on the West Coast as he hunts a championship in the K&M Pro Series West. So that's around the turn. Right now, you'll get these messages, and you're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Here's an important message from RAD and this station.
Hi, this is Bob Sheehan from Blues Traveler for RAD, recording artists against drunk driving. I like to party just as much as the next guy, maybe even more, but the one thing I won't do after I've had a few is get in the car and drive. Don't blow it. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives and so should you.
Motorsports sales professionals. Performance Motorsports is looking to build a team of experienced media sales professionals to represent our programming to the industry's top companies, magazines, and racing series. If you have motorsports sales or marketing experience, know how to work with agencies, understand social media, and are incredibly creative when it comes to working with clients and promotions, then we want to hear from you. Top performers are richly rewarded. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444, or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
You are a waste. A loser. Everyone hates you. Why don't you just stay in your car and keep driving? I'm serious. Drive until you run out of gas, then get out of your car and walk until you find someone who doesn't think you're dumber than bricks. Could take a while, but at least all that walking might burn a couple of calories.
You may not witness bullying like this every day. Your kids do. They want to help, but they don't know how. Visit stopbullying.gov to learn safe, simple ways your child can help stop bullying. Be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Hi, this is Mr. Davis driving the NASCAR Whelen Southern Modified Series. Let's send it back to Speed 77's radio, Stock Car Steel's SRI Motorsports Show, here on PMN, the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to tonight's Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on PMN. Thursday Night Thunder, as we like to call it. Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman, Kyle Magda, all from RaceChaserOnline.com. Today's racing news, yesterday's racing history, tomorrow's racing stars, and having a great time tonight. And we are rolling right along, and we're going to be heading west here to talk some K&N Pro Series West with young Noah Gregson. And Noah, first of all, welcome back to the show. And second of all, you took a long trip over east here to run at Richmond last week and had an outstanding race. I've got to believe you were really hoping this thing would have gone the distance.
Yeah, first of all, thank you guys for having me on the show today. I appreciate it, or tonight in your guys' case. It's late back there, but yeah, we went back to Richmond last week and came home with a solid top 10 finish. We were hoping for a little bit better. We qualified 10th, but it got rained out. There's about 4 or 5 cars left to qualify. So qualifying got rained out, so they went off points, and we didn't have any points for the E-Series since we're not regulars back there. So we had to start 32nd out of 35 cars, and we ended up finishing 10th. So the race got called short, about 40 laps, so I was a bit bummed on that. I think we probably had a top 5 car going, but just can't thank all my guys from Jefferson Pitts Racing. They gave me a great car, and we were running those guys down there at the end, and we saved our tires good, just ran out of time.
You had virtually no experience in a full-size stock car going into this year, and yet here you are up by 2 markers with 2 races to go over a guy in Chris Eggleston who's done just about everything in these cars. So are you a little bit surprised, honestly, that being consistent, completing all the laps, basically going out and running your races the way you have has turned into a championship run like it has?
Yeah, I think racing against all these guys definitely helps build my confidence. Coming to the racetrack and knowing that I have a strong car from JPR definitely helps. And I know we definitely have a great car every time we show up to the racetrack. So it definitely gives me a little bit of confident boost running so well. But we just have to keep our heads up and move on to All-American Speedway next week, or next K&N race. So hopefully we can get a top 10 finish there, and if not better. So just can't thank all my guys from JPR enough for being able to bring good race cars to the track each and every weekend. And it's I think the hardest thing for me is having to adapt to each racetrack. I've never really been to any of these racetracks so far on this schedule. So just being able to adapt really is a big thing for me. And I think the adaptation time is going to help me in the future. And the more races we run, the better we'll get.
Well, you talk about adaptability. You definitely did that at the race over Labor Day weekend at the quarter mile in Meridian. You qualified pole and basically went out and didn't really get a lot of challenge except from James Bickford in the early laps of that race. I mean, once you finally were able to reassert yourself, I don't think you lost the lead again except on restarts. I mean, led 176 laps of the 208 overall and basically won it going away. I mean, how fun was that drive for you? It was a tight little track. I know a little bit more of what you're used to, and you really showed it, just really pulling away from Brandon McReynolds on every restart you had late in the race.
Yeah, I wouldn't quite say it was easy. No race is real easy. In the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West, there could be 8 to 10 guys that could show up a weekend and win. So it definitely makes it hard running against all these fast competitors like David Mayhew, James Bickford, Grayson Raz, Ryan Partridge, Chris Eggleston. So I could go on and on about all the great drivers, but I think the biggest deal is communication between me and the crew chief. Me and Jerry have great communication. I think that's the biggest deal about it is you have to get the car right, and you have to be able to work with your crew chief to make the right adjustments. And we did at Meridian, and hopefully we can carry on the momentum to Roseville for the next race. But just real fun racing with all those guys.
I know you've said a bunch of times how much fun you're having this year, and I know, you're trying not to really focus on the championship to an extent because I know, you're just focused on taking care of business at each race these last two. I am curious, though, even if it doesn't work out for you to win the championship this year, do you guys consider this season a success knowing where you started at? Is it a disappointment at all, regardless of how this turns out?
Absolutely. It's this year has been phenomenal for us. Coming in the year, we didn't really know what we were going to expect, So for me, I was just hoping for top 10 in points, maybe, and to be able to run maybe top 5, maybe sometimes. So for the success we've had so far, I think anything's positive for us. Any result would be great in my mind.
All right, 2 races left, and Tom mentioned it, the big finale at Phoenix coming up in November. What's the anticipation getting ready for that show, too? I know it's going to be the biggest track you've run yet, and, underneath the biggest field and arguably the biggest number of eyes, too, because you finally get to run at an oval track with the NASCAR crowd, which is something that you guys haven't experienced yet. You excited for that one?
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's going to be a lot of great people there running against us. I'm going to be making my ARCA debut this Friday coming up at Kentucky for Mason Mitchell Motorsports in the number 77 Alert ID Colliers International car. So that's a 1.5 mile track. So hopefully we can get our feet wet on those bigger tracks. So when we go back to Phoenix, it'll be a little bit easier. I won't feel like I'm going as fast as I really am. So it's kind of like one of those deals where you train harder than what's going to happen. So hopefully we can run well there at Kentucky and move on to Phoenix. And I don't really know much about Phoenix. All I know is that it's really, really big compared to what I've run in the past. So and I've been running on iRacing a little bit, but other than that, I don't really know what to expect,
It's going to be fun to watch, Noah. I know you're excited. I'm really interested for just a minute, now that you've kind of dropped the little ARCA hint, how different is Kentucky going to be for you, being able to run for Mason Mitchell Motorsports on another track that you've never seen, and really a completely different set of challenges?
Yeah, just very, very great opportunity that came our way, and we had a couple meetings with Mason Mitchell Motorsports, and we worked out a deal. So I'm very fortunate to be running for them. And I don't really know what to expect, to be honest. I know that there's a lot of bumps, and other than that, I guess I'll have to adapt pretty quick. I think going to all these little small racetracks, as I said before, that adapting to each and every racetrack, they're all different, so they all have their own characteristics. So hopefully we can adapt quick, and I don't know. I guess we'll have to see when I get there.
Well, we're excited for you. Definitely looking forward to it. And I know, as always, you've got a lot of people to thank, Noah. It's been a banner year for you. Who makes it happen for you and the crew?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Colliers International and Alert ID, we've had phenomenal support from them. A great partnership between us, and Jefferson Pitts Racing, they make it all happen for the most part. My crew chief, Jerry Pitts, we work really great together. My family, my mom and dad, Scott and Jill. So can't thank them enough, and hopefully we can carry some momentum on to Roseville and Phoenix. But definitely a great year. I'm very fortunate for the opportunities come my way, and it's definitely humbling to look at what we've done so far, but we can't get too caught up on it. We still have 2 more races to go, but just great running with all the guys, and hopefully we can have a little bit more success.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing it, Noah, and always very, very glad to have you on the program. We will certainly keep in touch with you down the stretch of the K&N West battle, and hopefully get a chance to see you at Charlotte for the Champions Celebration in December. I know that's the ultimate goal, and you're just going to keep trucking towards it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Thank you guys for having me on. Anyone who's listening, you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Noah Gregson, and on Facebook at Noah Gregson Racing. So just check that out. You can get some updates on what I'm doing in my life and also what I'm doing in my racing career. So just pretty much check those out. And thank you guys for having me on the show. I appreciate everything, and hopefully we can catch up some other time.
We're looking forward to it, Noah. That is Noah Gregson, and when we come back, we'll throw the white flag on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show and get ready to run down the stretch to the finish. You're listening to the program here on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Okay, so Sarah, I'm dropping you off at Emily's?
Yep.
And Josh, you're going to?
Soccer, Dad. Soccer practice.
Right. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know when I pick you both up, I'll be wearing my short shorts.
What? No!
Yep. and my dorky dad hat, and I'm gonna do my dad dance for all your friends. They'll love it!
Seriously? Why?
Because I like my short shorts. Of course, I could be talked out of it if you guys would just buckle up your seatbelts without giving me a hard time.
It's important to get your kids to buckle up for safety, no matter what it takes. And sometimes, all it takes is your parental powers of persuasion.
Okay, we're buckling up. See, all buckled.
Good choice. I'll just have to do my dad dance at dinner time. What?
No!
Do what you have to make sure your kids are wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
If you're a gearhead and you just can't get enough of your favorite motorsports on that channel on the cable, or you look at that Guy network and you just go, what does that have to do with me? We have the answer. Performance Motorsports Network. Right here on the internet. The best cruising tunes, the best in motorsports programming, and the best shows. We have opinionated hosts, and we like it that way. If you want to get involved, if you want to bench race, be listening for information coming up soon right here on this channel, the Performance Motorsports Network, your source for motorsports. Let's go back to steel and aluminum stock cars and supplying the SRIs with Race Chaser Online Senior Editor Tom Baker and the Speed 77 Radio Cast.
Steel,
what?
That was just awful.
Well, that's close enough. I don't care.
Go home, Bob. You're drunk. Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show, properly named, on the Performance Motorsports Network. Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman, Kyle Magda. Okay, guys, it's our white flag segment, and this just in. Shots have been fired at Chicagoland.
Thank you. I just was going to get to that, Tom, and you beat me to it. I'm so excited that we're on the same wavelength for a change. Kevin Harvick just said, all right, boys, game on. I believe the exact quote was, I think we're going to pound them, meaning Joe Gibbs Racing, into the ground.
Okay, now that is the exact quote. Jacob, buying or selling that Kevin Harvick pounds them into the ground and beats them to death with Budweiser beer cans over the next 10 races and wins the championship?
I'll buy it, actually. You know, he's been the most consistent driver all year. He just hasn't lived up to his nickname the past 2 or 3 months and closed it. I think that changes. He's been too close too many times to not close the deal on a couple of these races, and the way he just went boom, good night, see ya at Phoenix and Homestead last year, if Kevin Harvick makes it to the round of 8, he wins a second straight Sprint Cup championship. I'm buying it all day.
And Kyle Magda. Kevin Harvick was basically basing his comments on the fact that he believes Stuart Haas has the championship pedigree based on their past experience at winning titles. However, Kyle Busch, in response to Harvick's comments, smiled slyly and said it would really be a shame if he blew a motor right off the bat in the first race this weekend. That would be pretty bad. Magda, you buying or selling that Harvick should have some extra security around the 4-car over the next 24 to 48 hours?
I'll buy it just because I remember at Pocono back in August, I think he was leading or running second and he blew up. So not in the helmet, but the car we're talking about. But I think they do have the experience, winning the championship last year, and I just don't know right now because I think Joe Gibbs Racing is at the pinnacle of this season because they have just been on a roll. Like I said, I think on Monday's show, they have been good with every single package. Kyle Busch is up there, Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, Denny Hamlin. They have just been on their A game as of late. And, Tom, I know you say that it doesn't matter what you did back in February. It matters what's happening right now. And they've been doing what they've been doing, and they've been winning. So They're on a roll right now. They cannot be stopped. And we go into practice tomorrow, and qualifying I think is tomorrow as well. So there's just so much going on, and and even in boat series, also on the other side as well. With Joe Gibbs Racing as well, they're still running up front. So they're just right now they're gelling in every single NASCAR series. They are doing a good job right now. Kyle Busch Motorsports as well, winning races with the Truck Series. Just that connection right now. They're gelling, and it's at the right time because we're going into the home stretch, and before you know it, at Dover we'll be eliminating 4 drivers going into the race you guys will be at Charlotte.
Well, I when I first read these comments, of course, this is what a media day is supposed to be. I mean, the Super Bowl media days are generally terrible. There's no good quotes. Nobody has any fun, and when somebody does have some fun, they get fined. And
unless you're Marshawn Lynch,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's but NASCAR obviously not of that mode. They want the drivers to ham it up and spark it up a little bit. And, we've got some great personalities in the Cup Series, and not surprised that Harvick was the first driver to fire that shot. And really, when you think about it, the thing that we saw last year with this chase format was that the intensity of the emotion of it ratcheted up every week. It seemed like as we went through, we saw, Brad Keselowski melt down once or twice. Kevin Harvick talked about the emotion of it a couple times, how, he wanted to go home every week and throw up all week. It's very intense. And so when you've done it once or twice, and you've got Harvick over there, you've got Stewart who's won championships, you've got Kurt Busch who's won a championship. I mean, these guys know what they're doing. Now, conversely, Joe Gibbs Racing, Jacob, you've got Matt Kenseth who's won championships. You got Carl Edwards who came within a tiebreaker of winning a championship. You've got Denny Hamlin on the inverse side of this, Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch, who have seemed in the past, not specifically them, but their teams, have seemed to self-destruct down the stretch. So this all kind of combines, I think, for a very intriguing set of circumstances going into this first race, because the players have been scrambled a little bit in terms of the teams that they're with, but you got a lot of past champions and some who've come very close to winning a championship going into this series, within those two groups. But then you've got a couple, as I say, who it seemed like in the past have self-destructed, but this year, they're going in on a high rather than kind of going down the other way.
Boy, do you ever. And it's almost remarkable, to be totally honest, the level of talent in this year's chase field. It's, you stop and think, you mentioned right there, Matt Kenseth has won a championship before. You've got, Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson, who have 10 championships between them that are both in the playoff hunt. Their title hopes are not over. You've got, like you said, Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, who have been close and never been able to cut it. You've got the defending champ, Kevin Harvick. Kurt Busch has won one in the chase area. Brad Keselowski has won one in the chase era. I'll get that word right the second time. But you've got a whole bunch of new players, too, Tom. You've got your Paul Menards, your Clint Boyers, who hasn't been in the chase for a while. Jamie McMurray's in it for the first time. Martin Truex is in it with the 78 team, which I know is huge for them after missing it last year. Sure. I don't know where to look. I mean, obviously you look at the guys who have been in this position before, but holy cow, is this set to potentially be one of the best runs ever down the stretch. And I would argue this is probably the most stacked chase field that we've ever had since the inception of the playoff system back in 2004. Whoever wins this title this year is going to absolutely have earned it.
Well, there's no question about that. I don't see how you can win a title in this format and not have earned it. I mean, there's just no way to back into a championship in this current format. You have to be on it all the way. Now, next question. A very curious news story has broken within the last 24 hours. It's not racing specific, but it has much to do with a couple of companies that have been involved in the sport for years. Anheuser-Busch is rumored to be possibly making a bid to buy Miller, which currently also owns Coors. Now, the early odds here seem to be saying that this would never be allowed by the government because it would create way too much of a monopoly. However, if Budweiser were to be allowed to do this, Jacob, I'm going to give this one to you. This is a two-part buy and sell.
Oh, boy.
If Budweiser buys Miller, then one of the things that is being said is that the only way it might be allowed is if Miller divested the Coors brand, and someone else would have to pick that up. So, A, if Budweiser buys Miller, does that make Kevin Harvick and Brad Keselowski beer mates? And B, is it possible that Coors then would go over to Chase Elliott with a 21 means 21 program and sponsor Chase as one of the past sponsors of Chase Elliott's father, Bill? Could we see Coors back in the sport perhaps as something to do with that particular team and have the three top beer brands once again all in NASCAR Cup at the same time?
Wow, you just threw a mountain of stuff at me, and it's
fun.
you're going to take me. You're going to take me all the way to the close at this point. But I'll tackle your questions before I wrap us up for the night. First, in some alternate parallel universe, maybe. But if Miller buys, if Miller is bought by Budweiser, sorry, you're getting me all screwed up with my beers here. But if Bud buys Miller, you're going to see something change either at Stewart-Haas or at Penske Racing, because I don't see how that becomes a thing without one of those two sponsorships going away. So, no, I don't see the first buy happening. I'm selling that. The second part of your question is really intriguing, though, actually. If Coors is divested and becomes its own deal or gets picked up by another smaller company, I could very well see them potentially approaching Chase and Hendrick Motorsports and going, hey, let's do something fun to tie it back into the family name again. I mean, we know they're looking for 12 races of sponsorship right now. We thought it was going to be Aaron's, perhaps. Aaron's put the kibosh on that this morning. So I'm not necessarily going to buy it yet, but I'm not going to sell it either, because that's very, very, very interesting.
I just thought it was fun to play connect the dots. You know, it's always amusing when something like this gets bandied about, because they're all obviously huge corporate types, and you know, I don't realistically think this would be allowed to happen. So,
right.
Just something fun to think about as we close the show. It was just something that came across earlier today, and I thought, well, wouldn't this be interesting, Jake?
Yeah, it would be fun, and I'll take antitrust laws for 500 Alex Trebek.
Exactly.
So As we get ready to say goodnight, we're excited for all the racing that's coming up this weekend. It's round 1 of the Chase for the Sprint Cup. If you've got a TV and you're anywhere within shouting distance of being able to catch this weekend's opening race of the Chase, do it. 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon from Chicagoland. NBC Sports Network, or MRN, is the place. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. We're excited to see how it all shakes down. Xfinity and Truck also on tap this weekend. A lot of racing going on. We'll break it down next week on both our shows. Monday night on Motorsports Madness, 7 p.m. Eastern. Thursday night, Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show, right back here on the Performance Motorsports Network at 7 p.m. Eastern. Until then, want to say thanks to our entire cast of guests again: Andy Jankowiak, Georgie Brunhosel, Kyle Weatherman, Noah Gregson, Austin Hill. Definitely appreciate their time. And for Kyle Magda, Tom Baker, and our producer Big Mike behind the glass, for all of us at PMN and Race Chaser Online that makes this deal go round, I'm Jacob Seelman saying thank you to our partners at Stock Car Steel and SRI Supplies for making this show possible. Visit stockcarsteel.com or SRI-supplies.com for more information. And right now, from me to you, keep it off the wall until we meet again, and we'll see you next time, maybe at the racetrack. Have a safe racing weekend wherever you may be. Good night.
You've been listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. Tonight's show is brought to you by Stock Car Steel and Aluminum and SRI Supplies. For all of your racing needs, visit stockcarsteel.com and SRI-supplies.com. Keep up with the latest motorsports news every day on Race Chaser Online. The Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show is a copyrighted production of the Performance Motorsports Network. www.performancemotorsportsnetwork.com, a member of the Scorpion Radio Group, Inc., and may not be rebroadcast, replicated, or saved in any media without the explicit written permission of PMN. Check out our Facebook page or our section on the PMN website. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, co-host, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of the management and ownership of either the Performance Motorsports Network or Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, the advertisers, or the marketing partners. Be listening again next week for more great motorsports programming right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.